and welcome back to my podcast. Happiness is just a choice away. We take a deep breath with me and just relax. Maybe it's time to stop looking for something that you already are. Maybe it's time to stop trying so hard. Maybe you want to just relax. Just allow yourself to be. Just expand into the natural state of being in which you are pure joy. Everything else isn't you. How often do you look for something outside of you that's supposed to make you happy? Maybe you want to take a minute and write it down. Maybe you want to just think about it. But have a look at yourself and your life and become aware of the many things you have decided need to occur in your life in order for you to be able to be happy. Is it a person? Is it a relationship? Is it a job? Is it money? What have you decided you need outside of you in order to be able to be happy? And also, how often do you make somebody else responsible for your happiness? How often do you blame somebody when you're not happy? How often is it somebody else's fault? Your boss's fault, your partner's fault, your girlfriend's fault, your mother's fault. Parents are great. We've been so conditioned to always look outside of us for everything, for happiness, but everything in general. We look outside of us to find out who we are. How on earth is that supposed to work? How can you look outside of you to find something you are? We've been blackmailed, emotionally blackmailed as children. We've been blamed, we've been judged, we've been made responsible for other people's unhappiness. We've been told, if you say this, I'm unhappy. If you do that, I'm unhappy. Or if you want to make me happy, you're going to do this and that. You're going to say this and that. You're going to act appropriately. You're going to behave appropriately. We have had so many moments in our lives where we were told that we can actually make somebody else happy or unhappy, and that it's our fault when somebody else is happy or unhappy. And just the same, we started buying into the lie that it's even possible that somebody else can be responsible for our happiness or unhappiness. None of it is true. Nobody and nothing can make you happy. I would really love to say that one more time. Nothing and nobody can make you happy. Just like you cannot make other people happy or unhappy. You cannot make them sad. It's just a choice, and true happiness lies in peace and joy, and it has nothing to do with what's going on around us. But we've been so conditioned, so conditioned, so judged, so blamed, so hurt, and we're always trying so hard to make other people happy. And let me ask you this, has it ever worked for you? Have you ever actually been able to make somebody happy? Have you ever tried to help somebody who's really miserable? Have you succeeded? Did it work? Were you able to take somebody's unhappiness away? Or were they just defending it even more when you tried? And were they just blaming you, making you responsible for their unhappiness? And wouldn't it be amazing if we all stopped doing that? So everything that's still holding that in place, that's still creating that, will you now destroy and uncreate it, please? Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all nine shorts, boys, poets, and beyonds. See, people on our planet believe that unhappiness is real. Most people do. And why is that? Most people on this planet believe that unhappiness is more real than happiness. Why? Because more people on this planet actually feel unhappy. So it must be real, right? Everybody feels it. Everybody knows what it's like to be unhappy, so it must be real. So it just must be part of life. It just must be how we have to go through life. It's like, well, everybody else is unhappy too, so it must be impossible to be happy all the time, right? That's what we're told. It's like life, is full of ups and downs. Life is full of good and bad, right and wrongs. We can't be happy all the time. I mean, sometimes you just get hit in the face, or sometimes bad things happen to you, or sometimes you're just not as lucky as other people are. Whatever it is you tell yourself, whatever stories you buy from others, we actually believe that it's impossible to be happy all the time. But is that true? And I've mentioned the tool light and heavy in the previous episode. And I just want to ask you this. When you say it's impossible to be happy all the time, does that feel light? Or is that heavy? Truth. It's impossible to be happy all the time. Just take a moment to perceive, is that light for you or heavy? Because in my universe, that's really heavy. Because I know it's possible to be happy all the time. I can choose it, and so can you. It's entirely up to you. But it requires that you start taking full responsibility for your own happiness, and that you stop blaming people, and that you stop blaming the world, that you stop waiting for anything to change or to occur first. Before then, maybe you will be able to be happy a little bit. So everything that is, we now destroy and uncreate it. Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all nine shorts, boys, poets, and beyonds. So people on this planet, because everybody is unhappy, make unhappiness more real than happiness. Unhappiness is actually made to justify your dissatisfaction. You cannot actually be unhappy if you do not work on it. That's crazy. It's a changeable state that you have produced, thinking that you have no control over it, but in fact you have complete control over it. But we actually believe that we're the victims of our unhappiness. We believe that, it can come in through a back door and just kind of like take over, make us feel miserable, make us feel sad, make us suffer, make us go through hell, whatever. We actually believe it's something that's coming from outside of us, something happening to us that then makes us unhappy. But that's not true. Unhappiness has been made to justify your dissatisfaction. Thoughts, feelings, emotions are a system of justification for everything in your life. Let me ask you this. When you are happy, you have little to share with other people, right? How much do you really share with other people when you're truly happy? How much do you talk about how amazing life is, how wonderful life is, how wonderful you are, how great you are, how brilliant you are, what a gift to this world you are, how grateful and happy you are about being alive, about being on this planet? How often do you actually do that? And when you do that, is anybody listening? Is anybody interested? Does anybody ever ask you, I want to hear more about your happiness. I want to hear more about how you got so happy. Does anybody even want to hear that? Is anybody interested? Is anybody receiving your happiness? And when you were a child and you were so happy, you just were. You couldn't help it, You were this ball of energy, bouncing around, jumping around, playing, goofing, laughing. And did that make people around you happy? Or were you being too much energy, too much to handle, too much, too colorful, too much full of imagination, too powerful, too present, too whatever? So what happened? You started dimming down your happiness, the joy you naturally are, so that you could fit in, or that you tried to not be too much for people around you, so that you wouldn't piss people off with your happiness. So you stopped being as happy as you can be. Maybe you kept a little bit of it, tiny little bit of it, maybe hidden somewhere, maybe when you're alone, or maybe just for you. But when you were around other people, because everybody else around you was so unhappy, you started to adapt and adjust to their unhappiness, and you started to learn how to be unhappy. So we actually created that state. It's not something natural, and it's not who we are. So you learn to adapt so that you wouldn't make people feel uncomfortable, so that they didn't need to realize how unhappy they were, and that they could actually change it, do something about it, make a different choice. People don't want to hear that. People want to stay true and loyal to their unhappiness. Have you ever tried to help somebody who's really miserable and unhappy? Did it work? Were you able to make them happier? Or did they just end up defending their unhappiness even more? Did they just end up proving to you that they were the most miserable one on the planet, and they had all the right to be, because they had gone through blah, 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 and all the, terrible and terrifying and traumatic things that we all went through? So does it actually work when you try to make somebody happy? You can't. You cannot make somebody else happy. Just as little as you can make somebody else unhappy. But you can choose for you. You can choose to be happy. You don't have to adjust to other people's unhappiness anymore. You don't have to align and agree with the unhappiness that's going on this planet anymore. You have a different choice. So now just look at that for a minute. How often do you talk about problems and things you're not satisfied with? And is it easier that way to connect to people? Because as soon as you talk about miserable things, everybody will align and agree. Everybody will understand. You will get everybody's understanding. You will get everybody's full support, because they all know it too, and they all suffer too. And then you can compare who's unhappier, who gets to be the unhappiest one. What a fun game. And wouldn't it be fun to choose something different now? Everything that doesn't allow you to choose something different, we on create and destroy it now. Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all nine, shorts, boys, poets, and beyonds. And let me ask you something else. Are you aware of people's unhappiness? Is a lot of the unhappiness you have going on in your universe actually just an awareness? Do you just energetically perceive the negativity, the unhappiness that most people on this planet function from? And what does that have to do with you? Just because you're aware of it doesn't mean you have to be it. Doesn't mean you have to make it real. Doesn't mean you have to choose to function from that place too. Do you judge yourself because you think you should feel happy in a certain situation or in a certain way, but you don't? Do you know these moments in life when I remember when I moved to Thailand, and I had all these ideas and concepts about how living in paradise was going to make me happy. And then I got there and I realized my thoughts, my emotions, I was still holding on to them. And now I was in paradise, and I felt even worse because I felt guilty for not being happy, for not being able to be happy in paradise. Do you know those moments when you take something outside of you and you want that thing to make you feel a certain way and it just doesn't? And then you blame yourself and you're like, what the hell is wrong with me? Why am I not happy? Why am I not happy in paradise? Why am I not capable of being happy? And there's another thing also. Are you trying to hold on to happiness so you never lose it again? Maybe you've had moments of happiness. Maybe you had those moments where you felt truly happy. And are you now trying to hold on to them? Desperately trying to keep them in your life so they don't ever go away again? And is that working for you? Or is that a lot of effort? A lot of pressure you're putting yourself under? Can you actually hold on to happiness? Does that even work? And everything that is, can we uncreate and destroy it now? Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all nine, shorts, boys, poets, and beyonds. Are you trying to live up to what other people have defined as happiness or a happy life? What would your happiness look like? What would a happy life for you look like? Whose happiness are you trying to live up to? And everything that is, will you destroy and uncreate it now? Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all nine, shorts, boys, poets, and beyonds. If you are happy, you literally change the face of the earth. You transform everything around you, everything unpleasant, everything that's your past, everything that ever happened. You can transform it like this. And you will also transform the general state of the planet. From there, you have nothing left to do. Just be. And what if the earth and the universe actually wanted you to just be happy? What if that's all they wanted? Looking forward to seeing you again tomorrow.